Hey everyone, thanks again for joining us for another ride along, I guess here, just kind of a impromptu ride along. And just wanted to take a couple minutes, I guess, to kind of, talk about the whole stage crime scenes and how that is a big issue. And it's not just about if the crime scene was staged, it's about who it was staged by. So just because it's a staged crime scene doesn't necessarily mean that I think that it was staged by somebody other than David. Now again, you would have to take a huge leap of faith to say that the crime scene was staged by David, because it really would not make sense. But when we're considering all possibilities, which it looks like that is going to be the topic of the next show, and I was really surprised. I guess I shouldn't have been. I really shouldn't have been, but so I was curious what the number 2 thing would have been as well, and it was Kenneth Maines, and I thought that the paranormal topic was going to win the poll. And if people have no idea what I'm talking about, then you haven't checked out the Justice for David Crowley and Family Facebook group. I put a poll out there. It was going to be 2 or 3 different choices. I just want to see what the next topic, what the next topic of the show was going to be. And I was a little bit surprised when that won. I guess I shouldn't have been. I kind of did throw it out there just kind of half-heartedly, because how do you do that? How do you cover a show about all of the different theories? That would take a long time. But what I'm challenging people to do is, so far it's like 22 people that have said that that's what they want the next topic to be, and so that's what it's going to be. I'm going to keep the poll up as long as I can to avoid that topic. It is a topic that I have been constantly asked about, constantly ridiculed about. Well, if David didn't do it, then what happened? As if I can't come up with anything better, then David is guilty. And it's like, well, any topic, any scenario, any theory that you could come up with would most likely be better than the one that the police told us, for many reasons. So maybe we begin with, I think everybody knows what their theory is, but beyond that, you'd have to really begin with, what is the most likely theory? What is the most likely theory that makes sense? Now, I did put in the pact theory because I thought that might have won too. I thought that would have gotten a lot more play, but for whatever reason, it did not. So, since that one didn't, and I was a little surprised at that, but that's okay. That's what the poll was there for. But one of the theories would be the pack theory. So do I include that, or do I save that for another topic? But the pack theory is another theory. It's another outrageous theory, basically. And again, you have to take a strong leap of faith to believe in the pack theory, and you have to discount what the police say. So, which makes it weird why the people from the gray state, at least 3 people, Danny Mason, Sean Hendricks, Mason Norris Hest, also known as Mason Hendricks, why they all believe in this pack theory, even though Mason Hendricks went back on the pack theory, and then I guess he's okay with the pack theory now. But so I don't know if we take out the pack theory as one of the other theories and just kind of go with it, because, well, the pack theory you have to take out, right? Because that would include David Crowley. So we're going to talk about all theories not related to David Crowley. It's going to be an interesting show. I'm going to challenge every member to show up and share. Or if you can't make the call, give me something that I can read off. Give me a little scenario of what you think happened that I can read off to the group. Huge disclaimer, goes without saying. I'm not trying to accuse anybody, and not trying to say this is what happened. We are discussing different theories, as should be done in this scenario. We know how early that the police did not even want to look at other theories. They didn't want to entertain alternative theories. So we're going to do that. And like I said, I was a bit surprised, but I guess I shouldn't have been. I guess that's my own fault for being surprised when I obviously should not have been. Because it's been the most talked about theory. Aside from David Crowley being guilty, the other theories obviously would be most talked about. So I'm very curious to see what people are going to say, if they can join into the call or join into the chat. Because I don't just want it to be just about theories that I'm presenting or that I'm echoing, basically theories that have been brought up in the past. And that's probably what I would end up doing, because I don't have a theory. I don't have a working theory, to be honest. The closest thing that I have to a working theory is the paranormal. It really is. It's the paranormal aspect. It's one of the only things to me that explains a police cover-up. Why the police kind of were so quick, watered everything down, didn't want things through. But then you look at, what is the evidence of some paranormal activity? And there's really not much either. So it'll be an interesting show. It won't be a show that will bring conclusions and bring you to a satisfactory conclusion, let's just say. It's just going to be a theory, a bunch of different theories, I'm sure. So we'll see how people react to those and how they respond to it. It should be an interesting show. And I'm very curious to hear what some of the other theories are out there, because I feel like I've heard them all. I'll be very shocked if there's a theory that is brought up. For the members that join us, please join us. Don't leave me hanging. Don't leave me alone where I got to go through 20,000 different theories. Don't do that to me, please. But whatever. If you do it to me, it's fine. I'll go through it. Go through every theory that I've heard. I'll go through the early theories. But I don't have a lot of things to back it up for. For example, I could give you a theory, the numerology theory, that this is all related to numerology, but I can't give you the details of what that means, what that includes, or what that doesn't include, because first of all, I don't, I'm not going to do it justice because I don't take it seriously. It's not a theory that I completely discount, but it is, that's closer to the paranormal stuff, because I believe all the numerology, symbology, all that stuff is related to the devil. So then it would go back and take me back to the paranormal theory that there was a demon following this family for whatever reason, possibly even going back for generations. It could have been something in that area where David was, where their apartment was. Could have been something in the military, perhaps a curse that was put on him. Many things like that. So that would be in line with the paranormal theory. The other one of the early ones that really stuck out to me was the time travel theory. And I don't even know how that even makes sense. What time traveling for what? To come back from the future to kill David Crowley and his family so they don't, to prevent something in the future? I mean, come on, it just gets ridiculous. And I'm already tired of this show, and we haven't even started it. So we got 7 days here before we're going to discuss this. Man, I really hate ties. Whoever invented ties, by the way, should probably be tied to a fence somewhere, preferably one in water surrounded by electricity. All right, I'm a little off the rails here today because I've been traveling for too long, and can't wait to get home. As soon as you get home, we're going to go live with today's topic. If you're watching, probably by the time that you watch this, the topic will have already been discussed. We're going to talk about staging crime scenes. So I'm very curious. We're going to read an article that was sent to me by one of our group members. Thank you again for sending that. I know you don't really want to be out there in public or anything. I totally get it. I understand it. But I don't want to make it seem like I'm taking credit for something that somebody else brought to the table. So it's an interesting one. And of course, you know, it's the name of my article. My second article that I put out was called Gray Stage, because the whole thing looked like it was staged. It looked like a stage event. Now, the more deeper that I started looking, it looked like, wait a minute, we have 3 staged crime scenes here. Not 1, not 2, but 3. How do you have 3 staged crime scenes in the same freaking crime scene? That can't happen either. So, but we know something did happen, or something was meant to happen, or we were meant to see something. An event took place. An event took place. And the question is, what is that event, and where is the evidence for it? 2 likelihoods, obviously. Either David was murdered, or he murdered and committed suicide. So, in a staged crime scene, obviously, why would David stage 3 different rooms? And that doesn't explain the condition of his head and his hand either. So, unless the dog chewed his hand off, I don't know, which is another ridiculous concept, but whatever. David, if he was gonna write in his wife's blood, I don't think he would need to wear gloves or anything. Why not just use your own hands to show latent fingerprints? Why not sign it? Why not let people know? Why not do a video? Why not, you know, do so many different things that people would know that, okay, this is David and he wanted us to know. Well, no, it's like a riddle, and, you know, it was to keep the mystery going, to keep this and that going. No, it made him look like a jackass if he staged this crime scene. He would be one of the worst human beings ever, on top of everything else. And then, you know, you can accuse him of that. And you could say, well, because you don't know David, then of course you don't know that he could have done this. So if you guys knew that David was capable of murder and suicide, why were you guys working with him? Why was the Gray State team working with him? Why were they so invested with this? Why was Danny Mason so keen on making sure that he kept some of his rights, or, you know, that he wasn't cut out of the whole picture, along with a lot of other people who were kind of cut out and who David stopped associating with? All the way, I mean, we're talking different phases, right? So in November, October, he's cutting people out. You know, you could go back pretty far if you wanted to, back to August, really. I think once David goes to Hollywood that last time, I think something big happened there, whatever it was, right? If he faked his own death, then, you know, that this is all part of that, to keep it going, to keep the mystery going. Okay, I can see that theory. What other theories? Well, time travel, I'm not. Numerology, no. Symbology, there's a lot of symbolisms. How about the Masonic theory that it was, David was either a part of the Masons, was going to be initiated into the Masons, this was part of the whole thing with the Masons, or because of that apron in the Gray State trailer, the 2012 trailer, because of that apron, that's what caused David's death. That's when they decided not only to get David, but to make it look like a double murder-suicide. And there is an art form to it. And I hope that the article that we're gonna look at here covers that and shows you exactly that there is an art form to staging a crime scene in many different ways. So we'll see. We'll see all the different scenarios that the 2 retired FBI agents put out, Michael Napier and Robert Hazelwood. I believe those are the real names. They're both former FBI agents. One FBI agent is no longer with us. One is. So we'll see. We'll go through that. We'll read it. We'll see who joins us, see who has comments, and just a general discussion, overview about all of that. So I'm looking looking forward to it. I think it'll be an interesting topic that'll probably take place from right now. We're going to start in 1 hour, so I got to beating the clock to get home and everything. But by the time that you watch this, it'll probably have already aired, or it will be in the process of airing. So you might be seeing this on one live stream and the discussion on the Gray Stage YouTube channel on that live stream. Of course, I still can't go live on my main channel, Greg Fernandez Jr., but I think my ban is over fairly soon. I think within the next couple weeks or so. But whatever, we'll go with it. In order to so we'll see what happens with that. But so today's show should be interesting. I don't want to get too much off into that, but thinking of some other scenarios of what could have happened here if it wasn't David. A government hit, I think, is going to be another big one, because that was one of the early ones, right? That's probably the first theory that I heard, aside from David Crowley being guilty, which is really odd. It's just really odd that people would really think that that's true, and how somebody could believe that. I mean, the lack of intelligence you would have to believe David Crowley is guilty and be certain. You're lying to yourself, if not lying to everybody else. So that was disturbing. But what else? What other theory? So if it was a government hit, are we talking federal, local, state, county, Federal Express? Now I'm just tired. But what type of government? And obviously it's not like the whole government, right? It would just be somebody with the proper power, maybe in the intelligence community, the counterintelligence community, that saw David as a threat, or saw this movie as a threat, which to me is kind of hard to believe. It's a freaking movie. But, that's Hollywood, apparently. I mean, it's not so far-fetched, because people have been murdered who have worked on some Hollywood projects. I think that Stanley Kubrick is definitely one of the ones that comes to mind here. I think Bruce Lee, too. I think he was another one that was taken out because he started making his own movies, doing his own thing. So that's one of them. Who else? Well, anyways, doesn't matter who else. The question would be, does David fall into that category of people that were murdered for making a movie, or were going to make a movie, or whatever? And it would depend on what they include. It's interesting, in David's 2012 trailer, the inclusion of children, and the heavy inclusion of the children being I guess stamped, right? Like branded, you could say. So I wonder how much of David's final project, Gray State, was going to include children. And was it going to include any pedophilia, child trafficking, rape, anything like that? I think that's been one of my big questions there too. What was it going to include? What was it not going to include? Especially with what David saw where he was at. Some of the pictures that we have of him in Iraq, it's either Iraq or Afghanistan, are pictures of him with, children and hanging out with them. And we know from the pictures and videos that I've seen, the way David interacts with children is in a very kind and loving way. And people might say, well, that's because the cameras were on or whatever. But those people either are just guessing, or, if they're people that worked with him or knew him or whatever, it's like, well, would you guys be saying this right now if all of this didn't happen? It's just ridiculous. It seems like more of, they come up with excuses rather than reasons and facts. And I think there's a big difference. I know there's a big difference, right? An excuse is totally different than a reason, than logic. So, whatever. what else could it have been if it wasn't David? I'm trying to think of anything else people might try to bring up. A hostage situation, and I won't go into too much details. That's another one that I've heard come back up. Kamel, that Kamel was the one who killed them, which again is impossible, because you can't shoot yourself twice in the back of the head, or even in the side of the head, or even in the head, even in the front of the head. I'd have a hard time believing you would be able to do that. Shoot yourself twice after putting your blood everywhere and taking off both of your hands and half of your face, all that stuff. So no, it doesn't make sense. So I think it's a good topic, because I know a lot of people want to talk about it. I know they want to discuss it. Just a little warm in here. So I hope I hope people will participate in it, and I hope that they will come and bring their theory, their reasoning, their opinions to the table here, or else it's just going to be me doing what I'm doing right here. It's just not going to be very interesting and not very fun for me. It's one of the worst topics that I would want to talk about. I have no idea why I thought it'd be a good idea to put it up there, but whatever. That's how God works. I just go wherever God goes. Wherever He leads me, I go. So we'll see where that show ends up, and we'll see what some of the different theories are. I'm very curious about that. And you just never know. You never know what type of theories. Maybe I haven't heard them all. Maybe there's some out there that I haven't heard, and that maybe I need to pay more attention to. We'll see. Yeah, there's been a lot of interesting theories, though. So, anyways, any other updates? Let me see. Well, I talked with Lori from the group, and she has been able to get us 2,000 people to sign the petition. 2,000 legit people, like real people. So, and we're working on a couple other ways to try to possibly get more people to sign it too, as well. So we'll see how that goes. But thank you, Lori, and thank you everybody who has been helping Catherine with that. I know it's been a passion project for Lori, and she's done just a great job with that. I think before she came on board, I don't know if there was over 100 people, but I mean, damn, 2,000, that's crazy. And that's great. And the group, it's almost starting to reflect the members in the group, even though I know, a lot of members in the group have not signed, including myself. But the group is about to hit 2,800 people, the Justice for David Crowley and Family Facebook group. So that's another milestone there too, and still growing. I mean, we get new members, and we're hearing new stories, and people that knew David, and it's just really interesting to hear all of that and where people stand on this topic. Because like we've talked about many times, it can be a very toxic thing, and talking about the different theories can be very toxic too. This case can really hurt your soul. It can really damage your spiritual journey, and it can put you in a very bad mood sometimes. And that's not a good thing. It's not a good thing to dwell on these things. It's not a good thing to be, as Danny Mason accused me of, being obsessed with this stuff. And I can assure you that that is not the case. There's no need to be obsessed unless you're obsessed with the truth. And even that is not an obsession. It just is what it is. The truth is what it is. It is the truth, the blind truth. And that's why sometimes it's not easy for us to see it. But you get some glimpses in it, and you can see, okay, well, let's shave this thing down, let's really go through it. If David did not do it, obviously somebody else did, other people did. Why the police would help cover this up and not want to pursue it any further does kind of lead towards them. So I can see why people then kind of raise their eyebrows about the Apple Valley and whoever is running that. And they're not saying that everybody in Apple Valley, and they're not even saying that every investigator or any particular investigator or any particular officer involved with this. But I mean, you can't not go there, because that's where the facts lead you to. They lead you to say, okay, why didn't the police do this? Well, either they were inept, which is, you know, another popular theory, or they were trying to cover this up. That doesn't mean that they were part of the crime. You can still be part of the cover-up and not part of the crime. But the cover-up in itself is a second crime. So it's all wrapped up, all tied in together. The Masonic thing does make sense. I don't know. It would probably have to be a little deeper, not like the Masons, but a powerful Masonic head, whatever they are, whatever they call them, who was basically got the order to take him out. So, if that's the case, why would you drive a bike and a freaking Rhode Island? Crazy. But if that is the case, that this was some type of a Masonic hit or whatever, I mean, again, it goes back into the whole thing, because I do believe that the sacred geometry, the secret knowledge, the symbolism tied to the Masonics all goes back to the devil. So I could almost include the Masonic thing in with the paranormal theory. So there's a wide range of paranormal things that could have happened here, that could have been unleashed. One of the other popular ones is similar to the paranormal one, was something, I think it's EVP, right? There's something going into their brains, MK Ultra, brainwashing, mind control. Those might kind of all fall into the same realm. So I'm interested to hear if some people are going to be able to share their theory on that, which is another crazy one. But, you know, it's not to say that it's not possible. I mean, at this rate, anything's possible. I mean, even the official theory, in theory, is possible. But let's see, you know, it's got to have some weight. There's got to be some weight to it. So it can't just be an empty theory. You know, does it hold weight? And that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking to put these evidences, these facts on these scales, and see if it's just some empty carbs or if it's some real meat, you know? So that's what we're gonna dive deeper into and take another look at. Take as many looks at it as we possibly can. And we'll keep going on. I don't know if I have any other updates that I can share right now. I do hope to have a few in the future, a few that I've been waiting on for a long time, and I don't know if they're ever going to pan out. But the problem, half of the problem is just not following up on it, because my time management, you know, is not focused around this case. It's not focused around what happened here. I can only do this in my spare time. You know, I'm not law enforcement. I'm not an investigator. I'm not a forensic person. I'm not even a journalist, and I'm not even a credible. I have no credibility at all. I'm just a guy. I'm a Christian. I'm a believer in Jesus Christ who was looking at this case and trying to understand what happened. That's it. That's what it all is. So that's what I hope that my book will show. And that's why I think some people are going to be disappointed in the book, because it doesn't give you that conclusion. It doesn't give you what a traditional book or a traditional story or even a documentary or something should do. You know, it should give you closure. This book will not do that. So and I'm letting everybody know that way ahead of time. Unlike what happened with Eric Nelson's sloppumentary, if they would have put that out there, you know, a lot earlier and not made the hee ha ha, this is going to show, you guys will see once you see this movie, everything, you know, it'll all make sense and all that. And we know is not true, even though they I mean, the way that they pushed it and the way that all of the media pushed it, of course, I can totally understand why they would think that the propaganda arm of the Black Ops, of the counterintelligence forces. Why they would be involved in this? They would have to be involved at some level. You wouldn't need many. You wouldn't need a whole lot. You look at the era, this is under Barack Obama, one of the worst presidents ever. We were under one of the worst presidencies ever because they roll in stealth mode. Unlike George Bush, unlike, you know, some of these other guys, Barack Obama, Bill Clinton are some of the most smoothest people when it comes to being smooth criminals. That's what they really are. And of course Hillary and, you know, a ton of other people too, but you know, it's like George Bush is like the evil that, you know, when you see it, you know it. But when people see Bill Clinton and Barack Obama, they didn't know it. They thought, oh, this is a great guy, you know, this is he speaks well, this and that, he talks about what I want to talk about. And it's like, you know, say whatever you want to say, man, but I'm not believing it. You know, you gotta show me something. I'm not going to just buy whatever you're selling. That's just not going to work. And I did with Bill Clinton. You know, when I was too young to vote, but you know, I was very, I don't know how I got off into the Bill Clinton and the Ross Perot. I was going to go into the Ross Perot and all that stuff, but you know, so it was under that era, under the same power, the same people that are trying to take out our president now. And I do wonder what side David would be on, because it would be very, very clear cut. And it's very weird that David gets lumped in, categorized with the alt-right, a phrase that did not exist while he was even alive. But they called him alt-right, and his project is alt-right. It's just clickbait. It's just clickbait. Those are not people that are going to last. Those are gnats. Those are fruit flies. They swat them away there. That's it. They do not last. And that's been the biggest thing, and that's the one thing that I knew for sure. We would outlast all of the drama, all of the bull crap. We would outlast it, and we have, and I'm very proud about that. The propaganda is not meant to work long term. The propaganda is usually meant to go very, very hard, very powerful, very forceful, very quickly, and it's just a program. And once the program is over, those evil forces move on to somebody else's program, to a different program. But they have to stay here because of us. They have to stay. And that's when we get them. That's when we call them out. That's when we find out these very interesting things about who these people are, what they've done, what's happened to them, and why would they be so gung-ho about David being guilty, but not about finding truth, and not about the reality of this situation and of their situation, and the doublespeak, and the lies, and the games, and the hatred. All of that is not something that sincere people do, that people with the truth on their side do. It's what the other people do. All right, good peeps. Just gonna sign off here. I don't know when this will air, but I hope you all can join us on the Gray Stage YouTube channel. That's where we do all of our live shows right there. And we're going to be doing one in a few minutes here about staging crime scenes. So, see y'all then. God bless you all. May Jesus Christ be with you. Keep him first, foremost, and everything else falls in line. Amen.